Today we'll be discussing Azure Photo Desktop. Azure Photo Desktop is a desktop and application virtualization service that is running on the cloud. It is flexible. It enables your employees that are working remotely to be able to access your company's data and application. They can use their own devices and access your Azure Photo Desktop and work using your company's application and data. The AVD admin still has the ability to control what users can access the AVD. Some users are given specific access to certain applications only, and some users don't. It also enables multi-sessions window virtual machine, meaning that users can save up costs by enabling multiple users to use the same Azure Photo Desktop. And also, because a lot of users are accessing the same Azure Virtual Desktop, different users can have their own data stored separately from other users, so they don't collide. They can work separately with their separate data, and you can scale your compute and storage based on your company's work schedule. There are a number of use cases for Azure Photo Desktop. First is for security and regulation. The admin has the ability to set a policy to disable users from copy and pasting data from Azure Photo Desktop of the company to their personal PC. It also works in elastic workforces. For instance, if a merge and acquisition is happening between two companies, usually when it happens, one company, it takes a lot of adjustment because each company has their own different IT practices. So in order to adapt fast to the merge, the company can use Azure Photo Desktop to access the resources and application of the other company, and that company can do the same to access your company's resources, and that way you can work together while a golden image is being built or the full data center has finally been merged for both of your companies. And also, if you're hiring a data scientist or AI engineer or a game developer, this type of job positions that requires a lot of GPU, high processing power, since they need to process a lot of data, a lot of resources. And your company may not be able to provide each of these employees a high spec laptop for them. You can create an Azure Virtual Desktop with a high GPU and high processing power for this specialized type of workloads. So there are parts that are being managed by Microsoft, and there are parts that are under your control. You are able to determine what device you want to use to access the Azure Virtual Desktop. What operating system do you want to set for your Virtual Desktop? Whether you want to create what type of application groups to assign to different types of users. The user management, how are they going to authenticate and which users have access. It's scaling plans as well. The VM sizing, you can manage all that. You can manage the type of image that you want to use. While Microsoft will manage the infrastructure, the compute and storage, and also how the users are going to access AVD through the internet, and the diagnostics. It will manage how load is going to be balanced but for each users to different session hosts of the Azure Photo Desktop, how the user connections are being made. This is all being managed by Microsoft. So what happens here is a user will bring their own devices, connect to Azure Photo Desktop. Based on the load balancing method you use, it will direct the user to a specific session host. You can join domain this host pool to an Active Directory for the identity and authentication of the user. There are two types of host pool. First is the pooled host pool, where multiple people will share the same Azure Photo Desktop. Personal host pool is where a single user will have a dedicated Azure Virtual Desktop specifically for him. So there are two types of load balancing algorithm. First is breadth first. This algorithm evenly distributes your users across all the session hosts inside the host pool, while depth first aims to fill one session host until it reaches its maximum session limit. And once it reaches its max limit, the next user will be directed to the next session host virtual machine, and so on. Alright, so now let's start our demo. Now I'm in my Azure portal. Inside my Azure portal, I need to first create a resource group, and I'm gonna name it AVD RG. Then I'm gonna review and create. Click create once the validation has passed. So our virtual desktop, they require virtual networks. Let's name it AVD VNet. Next, create. Wait until deployment is complete. Now the deployment is complete. Next, we need to search for Azure Virtual Desktop in our Azure portal. So here is our Azure Virtual Desktop, and we need a few things. We need host pools, workspace, and application groups. First, we have to create the host pool. So host pool is just a collection of virtual machine. Let's just say host pool 1. Right, I'm gonna select East US since it's the region with the that consumes the cheapest credit. Then here we can select the preferred app group type, whether you want desktop or you want to just create a remote app. Select type, select the type of host pool you want. If you want to select a personal host pool, you can assign this host pool directly to a specific user. Or if you want to make a pool host pool, you first have to select the load balancing algorithm. Max session limit, you get to determine how much users can access one session host. I'm going to choose 3. Then you have to create a virtual machine here. And I'm going to name my session host host 01. And I'm going to set it to not infrastructure required and security type to be standard and the image type to be multi-session Windows 10. Here you get to select how much virtual machines do you want. Of course, the higher virtual machines, the more expensive it's going to be. Since for a demo purpose, I'm just going to select 2 virtual machines. And here, the OS this type, I'm just going to choose standard HDD and select disable. Then we also need a workspace to be able to manage our host pool functionality as an admin. But for now, I'm just gonna say no. Then just skip this part, then review and create. So there was a problem with the virtual machine. Right, don't forget to connect our Azure Virtual Desktop to a virtual network. You get to decide if you want your ports to be connected to the internet or not. Of course, I'm going to select no, so all traffic from the internet will be blocked. Here, you get to choose whether to join your Azure Virtual Desktop to your on-premise or on Azure Active Directory. So I'm just going to select Microsoft Entra ID, meaning that it's going to be connected to the current Azure AD tenant. Here, you just have to create an administrator account. Right, now review and create. Now all you gotta do is just click create. However, since I've already made this, and in order to save up on Azure credit, I'm not going to create. Alright, now we have everything set up and ready, but In order for Azure Virtual Desktop users to be able to access their Azure Virtual Desktops and application groups, we need to set up the role assignments for our users. Head into the access control of the Azure Virtual Desktop resource group. Create the role in the resource group level. You'll be needing virtual machine user login to log in into the host pool of the Azure Virtual Desktops. It will also need desktop virtualization user. This enables your user to use the applications in the application group of the Azure Virtual Desktop. Go inside the host pool. Over here we get to see host pool 2. We can see the total session and number of active sessions, how many virtual machines are there, and how many of them are ready to connect. Press start in order to start the Azure Virtual Desktop. In order for your users to be able to access it, there are two ways. They can access it through the web browser or through an application. In order to do that, simply search for a remote desktop app for Azure Virtual Desktop and click on the link connect to Azure Virtual Desktop with remote desktop client for Windows. And here you should be able to find the link on the remote desktop client app. And then you just have to open the file, click next, and just next and install it. But since I've installed the remote desktop application, I do not have to install it again. So head over to the remote desktop, make sure that you subscribe, use your username, and you should be able to see what is accessible to you. Over here, session desktop is available. Click on session desktop, simply connect to the session desktop. It will ask for your password. Just give it your password. Now the user is able to access the virtual desktop and be able to work.